Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Swizz.
And thank you for joining us in the, multiple state lockdown, wherever you are in Australia. I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. I hope you have made it to the final round. It's the final countdown, ladies and gentlemen. Limp, beg, crawl, trip over, get beaten by scaling. It's all good. You've got a week to go.
Why are you describing my entire last 3 weeks there, buddy?
Tell you what, you've gone down quicker than a girl at prom, I tell you. SC Insider 100. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, also on the YouTube. Just search for us and get amongst it there. All the audio platforms there. So I think this will be our last little segment, followed by, at some point, we'll do a end-of-season review, and I assume some drinks will be in there. We might even live stream that one. And just
talking about drinks, I'm on the Northerns today, mate. So I don't know about you, but some of us. Oh, actually, Mike, I don't even know. How do I even get this on the video? Like, it's not invisible. There we go, something like that. On the Northerns tonight, just a couple of cheekies, but yeah, I thought I'd just polish it off because they're the last beers I have in my fridge, you know. So whatever.
Oh, so you are at home, are you?
I am, yes.
Swizz, how are you travelling with the lockdown, mate? And we'll start with you as well after you talk about that. How have you gone this week? What are you ranked?
Yeah, mate, lockdown, it's fit for one again. We've got the exclusion zones and the friggin' bloody nightly lockdown. Curfews, and everything's happening, mate. So, but no, yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones who still get to go to work, so I can't complain too much. Supercoach, well, where the fuck do I begin? If everybody remembers Chris's rant from 2 weeks ago, I had my entire defence decide not to fucking show up.
Oh, yeah, so who did you have? You had what, Mills, Lloyd, Stewart?
Yeah, Mills, Lloyd, Stewart, Highmore is my backup there. So those four were fucking out, and then Toby Green on top of that. So, yeah, it was a fun fucking week. Still managed to score 2,200.
Stephen May as well, mate?
Oh, I was lucky not to have May. Thank fuck.
And you scored 2,200. Wow.
Yeah, 2,200. So it dropped me back to 772. So I'm hanging on to that top 1,000. Goal was to try to get another top 500, but I'll take a top 1,000 right now. The way the last couple of weeks have been, because I'll definitely have another donut this week and that because with Stewart still being out and my defence backups are all out. So it'll be one donut, but it's not going to really matter because I'm only playing for rankings because I got knocked out of all my fucking prelims.
Oh, yeah, you would have too. Tough crowd. Swizz, you are flying the flag, mate. I'm now just outside the top 1,000, which I'm actually kind of surprised I'm still in, considering like I've been playing an extra rookie because Langford's been out. Neil's just been like limping on. That's probably one of my worst decisions all year. Locking Neil in and out 3 times, I think, which is horrible.
Do you have double backup this week because Zeebel's out, my friend?
This is my first donut I'm gonna have all year, and it's in the final round.
And Brockman's out too.
Well, Brockman would have been my saviour. So I've got CCJ covering for Langford, and that's about it. So I'm copping a donut. And Stewart's out, so that at least I have defence options, and it looks like I'll be able to cover that one pretty well, but. Yeah, unfortunately, I'll be getting a donut this week, my first 0 all year, including the bye rounds, and I've literally limped across the finish line so hard. My rank went from 300, slowly but surely. It's fucked. And if I had have got Hall in instead of Langford, I would have been laughing, because there's easily multiple 100 points that I've lost.
Well, we've all been there, but it's going to be interesting because I've actually gone up in rank, boys. So I'm on the fucking comeback train.
Sure.
So last week actually helped me more than probably anyone else because I didn't have fucking Thomas Stewart, the fucking dud. And so I didn't have Stephen May. I have Jake Lloyd, but I was able to cover him somewhat. I had 3 defensive options in my back line. Unfortunately, I took the wrong one. I couldn't loophole anyone just with the way that the rookies were set up. Jake Lloyd was also he was in a weird spot in terms of when I was able to loop. And obviously I have Murphy and Bianco, so I wasn't able to loop those guys. Plus I had Durham, and I wanted to keep Durham in midfield also. So I kept him there with an emergency on him, but obviously that score didn't really count. And yeah, so unfortunately, I just really couldn't loop anyone that was of value. I ended up taking Waitman's 42 on for the forward line for Toby Green, and Nathan Murphy got 61, which I was pretty happy with considering. But I still ended up scoring 2,442, which was not too bad considering it was a really poor week for most people, and jumped up 400 ranks to 1590. So
you might overtake me. You might overtake me this week.
Well, what's your total points? I want to know how far behind you I actually am to see what I need to score above you this week.
Okay, let's put it this way. So my total points. Oh, geez, my rank was 20,000 for the week. That's so bad. Where are we? Total score 49,472.
So you're
not even that far behind me.
Probably not too far, no. But again, I've just been sliding, and I have Stuart. And I have.
You're 230 points ahead of me. Actually, it's more like 225, but
it's possible.
It's doable
with the donut, and yeah, who knows? And I'm playing an extra rookie. CCJ could just go for an 8 again, like knowing how he does. Now I do have a little bit of a rant to have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all the people that did comment in with their last minute scaling losses. Swizz, I think you have a shout out for one of your friends that had a brutal
I'll definitely
loss.
do that.
But let me go.
You go.
Let me go first. And it's always that way. So you have these league matchups, and there's this one guy in our league, right? We call him Bradbury because last year he literally came from the sky, came from absolutely nowhere to win the league. And it was like, oh, who's got this shit guy this week? Oh, look. And then next minute it was like late out, injury, something happened, some weird obscure captain choice, and he ended up winning the comp. And we all just laughed. We're like, where the fuck did that come from? So this year we were joking. I was like, I think I lost one game all year. The guy behind me only lost to me twice. And then he was playing Bradbury. So I was laughing. I said, oh, I hope Bradbury wins because I'd much rather play him than you. And then he won, and then he played me, and we had all these outs. And I was like, sweet, that's fine. I got coverage. And the motherfucker has 2 trades up his sleeve. Like, who has 2 trades in the second last round of the year? And then all of a sudden I'm looking at his team going, where the fuck? Hang on, where did these premiums come from? And I needed I think it was about 215 between, I think it was Ryan and I can't remember who the other player was that I had finishing up, and Ryan needed a 107 or more. So if I matched his score, I was going to win. And I was like 10 points at quarter time. I was like, this guy's shit. Fuck Luke Ryan, never picking him again. Next minute, these messages start going ping, ping, ping through my thing. He's like, Luke Ryan on a heater. And I have a look. I was like, whoa, look at him go. Third quarter, tearing up. So I start watching. I'm like, Luke Ryan, Luke Ryan, Luke Ryan. 107 at 3/4 time. I was like, bang, he's in. I've won. And the guy stopped watching it. He's packed up shop. Luke Ryan does absolutely fucking nothing. Liam Ryan was West Coast were on a heater. They were coming hard. Liam Ryan starts playing well. So what does he do? Ryan literally hangs off Liam Ryan, and they both do nothing for a whole quarter. He actually went backwards from 107, went down to like a 101 or 100. I was like, what the hell? Got a couple of cheap possessions late. 105. I was like, surely that second and third quarter that swung them the game, Luke Ryan will get 2 points in scaling. No, he goes backwards 2 points, and I fucking lose. So I'm gone. Gone.
Well, you should be fucking loving that game because the fucking Luke Shuey gets a mark and a kick inside 50 to win you the draft final as well.
So draft semi-final, that one was good. I needed 100 from Shuey on the dot in order to get into, again, so one of my 2 in a row. Between us, we've won 3 out of the last 4 in a 12-man league, and this year I'm now into the grand final. Mind you, I had like the best draft team all year, basically fluked, but we got there. So that'll be this weekend, so I'll keep you updated next week. Swizz, how's your shout-out and unfortunate friend?
Okay, so Dodzy, who I know will be listening to the show right now, so I hope you're doing well, buddy. But yeah, so he was in our cricket club Division 1 final, so we got 4 divisions and the prelim, and so he was going into the last match playing my wife, 386 points ahead. He had May, she had Petrarca, Salem, Durham, and Waterman. He goes into work, finds out after the game starts that May had pulled out. So I had a trade there. So unfortunately, couldn't do anything about that. And then Petrarca and Salem obviously both turned up, but still needed a massive score for me for Durham and Waterman. Game finishes, and they're actually tied, which would have put Dodgy through. And then Scaling from Durham put Briar ahead. So, yeah, my wife got through our Division 1 grand final, and my mate, who is been a bridesmaid in the prelims a few times now, is one of the most unluckiest Supercoach losses I've seen.
That has to be one of the worst feelings in the world. If you're in a cash league and you're ahead before scaling on the very last game, and then that few-minute window where they just adjust the scores however they want to adjust the scores, we don't know, and then all of a sudden you hit that refresh button and to see that you've literally just been bent over, that has to be one of the worst feelings out there, I reckon.
We were cooking dinner. I've gone to check the update to see if it's been updated. My phone was starting to buzz with a few of the guys letting me know. And I've just shouted out to the wife, and I tell you what, the frying pan nearly went flying in celebration. So she's excited. So she's playing the guy that beat me, Doy. So good luck to them in their Divi 1 grand final this week. And good luck to everyone who's still in Supercoach grand finals. Can't remember what that feels like, but yeah, good luck.
Yes. But look, it's one of those things. And I guess on the flip side, it's one of the best celebrations that you will have when you think that you've lost and you're all dire. And I should actually say, side note, I was probably going to lose that final anyway, except Stephen May was delayed out. So I think it was 180 points to catch, and it was like 3 versus 2. And obviously Petrarca outscored Oliver, so that made it me needing 215 points between 2 instead of having less. So I actually blame Petrarca and Clary. Now, for those that are still actually in the league, we're going to give you a nice little...
Hey, Benny boy. Zorks here, mate. Hope you have a good year with Supercoach. Hopefully you pick me up. Hopefully I can get a couple of scores for you as well.
Hashtag blessed. Anyone that's still out there, Dane Zorko, we're going to hashtag bless your Supercoach final round.
Just before we move on, man, I actually, at the start of the season, I was pretty against jumping into Supercoach this year because of COVID, and I thought it was going to be a fucked year, and it pretty much has been, as usual. But one thing we agreed at the start of the year was we wouldn't do any cash leagues this year. So I actually only joined 2 normal leagues for the entire year. I'm in the grand final for both. But I tell you what, one of the leagues that we're in, the one with all the past
Heater
winners.
Shaw and the A team. Yeah, I lost this week by who knocked me out? Yeah.
Well, the prelim was not the prelim. This the qualifying final the week before. I think I was 2nd or 3rd for the season. That's when I had the big rant, and I only scored the 2200, and I was facing the guy who was first place, and I had no chance of winning. Start of the round, I literally was going to lose by 200, 300 points, and we go into the game, and Tom Stewart's laid out. Then Stephen May's laid out. I'm like, I'm in with a shout here, boys. Then Bont and Clary decide to fucking put a spud.
Do nothing
for the ages.
They did nothing.
I ended up beating him by 150 points. So I'm now in the grand final, lads, against none other than Corey from SC Elites.
His team looks good, Corey. Like I was a bit
fuck me up.
I was a bit skeptical originally because I'm looking at his side going, and I know they don't play for rank, and it's been a while since I've kind of tried to play for leagues. But I was looking at his side going, still got these rookies, and I was like, man, what's he doing? Next minute, I look at his team like coming into finals. I'm like, wow, okay, he's actually got a real solid team. So well played.
I'm going to drown my tears in the $100 I'm going to win from Tom Phillips, not averaging 90.1. By the way, he needs to score 511 Supercoach points this week for Tommy Phillips to average 90.1 for the season. So good luck there, Tommy. Well done.
Pretty sure Lockie Neal needs to score a 200 this week too, Chris, because he is absolutely since he got injured again. I had a look at it and I was like, okay, he was averaging 105. So I was like, okay, so in these last 2 games, he needs to boost his like 8 round average up by like 10 points. So I was like, okay, so he could go
150 or 200 there on those bets.
150 and fuck you.
Don't celebrate too early there, Chris, because Richmond's made 10 changes for this game, so Tommy Phillips could be on this week.
No, didn't he need to average 110 plus or something for the rest of the season?
Who?
Oh, wasn't that the bet? What was the bet on Lockie Neal?
No, it was 115. Yeah. So he needs like
he
needs like 200,
like a 300 or something stupid.
So he was a 105 average, and then I think he dropped again. So now it's probably like 100 flat. So yeah, he's no way he's going up over like an 8 game average by 15 points. He needs 240 probably. I'm screwed. But okay, but again, like how many injuries does bloody Lockie Neal need to not fucking average 115? And he was killing it.
Mess to the bull, you get the horns, mate. I'm sure Patrick Cripps is also going to be. I think he owes you a bit of cash after this year. I maybe talk to that friend of yours. Actually, you're best mates with Dane Zorko now. So have a chat with McCluggage.
Actually,
have a chat with Neil.
Yeah. No, actually, I just realised is that Carl will be. Shout out to Carl because Carl was actually sponsoring the McCluggage bet.
I reckon Carl should fucking throw in a card on top as well. Fucking hell for making a bad call there, Carl. Well done.
So I think
and,
it's actually 100, and then Carlos, you were cutting. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to shout out Corey from SC Leeds, his team like obviously has come into finals, look, it's fucking stacked. So like uniques versus me this week, I'm just pulling it up. Like basically all the shit premiums, I'm like, oh yeah, they should be right for D6. It'll be right for F6. He's just got like way better. So my uniques are Houston versus fucking Luke Ryan. Bolton versus side bottom. I've got Parrish versus Oliver. Jared Lyons versus Lockie Neal. Fuck my life. Christian Salem versus Jack Crisp. Fuck, I'm just going to get ruined. And he's also got Rowan Marshall versus Toby Green, which I actually think I might have that one. I might have that one this week. I think Toby Green's going to kick a bag. So we'll see how we go. But
all those players have pretty high ceilings though. Like if Salem actually shows up and pulls out of one of those 140 games that he can do every now and then, you're going to need some luck for sure.
Well, look, here's the thing that I will say this week if you've still got trades. There are a lot of guys that are going to go fucking big this week. There's guys that are going to get rested. There's teams that have just...
Zeeble is an easy trade if you have trades because not many people will have trades this week, for sure.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So there's a no-brainer trade right there to any forward. And I'd say if you don't have Danger, he's a lock, but we'll go through that later. Someone like Titch, if you don't have Titch this week and you want to sideways, say a Taranto or something like that, Titch is going to go fucking huge. So, yeah, Richmond basically don't have a midfield, literally at all. Like, Swizz, what are you running in there in midfield this week?
Martin, I think, in his second game or something, Riley Collier-Dawkins and Thomas Dow.
Oh wow!
Right. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, no, I think we've also got Jack.
Titch or what?
We've also got Jack Graham in there and Jack Ross. So we've got all the experience and that. And they've brought back all their guys. So their midfield is literally Mitchell, Worrell, Warple, Amira, Phillips, and Wingard.
Can we just quietly say that Richmond are tanking so they don't come ninth? Can we say that? Because you've made so many changes where you're just like, you know what, we'll finish 12th, we'll take a good pick because there's no way that we're going to win this game and finish ninth overall and cop shit.
Absolutely. I copped some shit on that for saying that on the Richmond forum this week, so fuck you for those who complained at me because there's no way I wanted to see us finish ninth. Play the kids. Why not? First time in 5 years I can say that. Let's play the kids.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. So after Friday night's game, so obviously Bulldogs Port has a bit of ramifications for finals because Port obviously the only ones that can really win a home game, especially in the first rounds. So you could find that Geelong versus Melbourne have some fucking laid outs. I think that there will be, for those final teams with nothing to play for, they might as well just rest some people, right? Because there's no pre-finals bye. So be careful this weekend is what I'm saying.
Even the case that Geelong Melbourne's after Brisbane, not that I think Brisbane can change anything only with the Dogs, but yeah, Geelong Melbourne will obviously know what they need to do. And the same with Essendon. They're in the exact same situation as Collingwood, especially with them with a Sunday game. They'll play after the St Kilda Freo. So if that game's going the Saints' way, the Bombers could be in the exact same situation where they could make 3 or 4 late changes there. So it's an interesting round of footy anyway because, you've got a few teams who have completely checked out. Richmond, Gold Coast will be in that situation and a few teams not playing for anything where there's a couple teams like Hawthorn, Clarkson's last game, Burgoyne's last game.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's why they put back all their senior guys because it's such a big day for them. So that's one. Carlton obviously will be very interesting with everything going on with Teague to see if they actually show some fight or they just completely check out. And it could be
GWS going to roll over the top of them for sure.
GWS have to win too.
Field day.
Yeah,
field day for the Giants.
It's going to be interesting. Now, I guess, is there any insight as to where the games will be next week? Because if there's no...
so Melbourne have said no finals in Melbourne for 2 weeks.
Melbourne for 2 weeks. What?
So the latest in regards to Geelong, if Geelong were to get a home final, that's still a possibility to be in Geelong. However, the AFL has said they don't want to play finals in front of no crowds. So Tasmania is on standby for that, and Tasmania can host up to 2 games. I've said it's really come down to Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Tassie. So they'll try to give.
That's why it makes sense that Geelong and Melbourne, they don't really care, because if, say, Port Adelaide beat the Bulldogs, then they're like, well, sweet. Or actually, on the flip side, if the Bulldogs beat Port, then they're like, sweet, well, we'll just kick back because we're all now guaranteed top 2, basically.
And it's a coincidence that all the restrictions in Queensland lift on Friday night. Oh, wait, it's not. Yeah. It's all money orientated.
Oh, of course.
Well, guaranteed. Brisbane already had crowds last weekend. I was there.
Yeah, but they're upping to 75% capacity
as
of this weekend.
Instead of 50%. Yeah. Interesting.
So,
well, mind you, we have had like 0 COVID cases like all week, so kudos to that.
And there's a discussion going on at the moment regarding the grand final and the bye, where they may not have the bye at all, or that bye will be after the prelim week. The AFL was talking about having it after week 2, but I think the clubs all rejected that.
How crap would that be?
And they're saying it's hard. Like Damien Barrett was talking about it this morning, going, well, it's hard for clubs to sit there and go, oh, well, we might not make finals, but we're trying to have a say on this. But, yeah, what happens if you're in that situation where you have the week off and then they give you another week off? Like, they just can't put it after the semi. So it needs to be, if they're going to do it, it has to be after the prelim, or they just bring the grand final forward.
Yeah, I think the issue is that if it's in Western Australia for, say, the Final Four and the grand final, that would... it sounds like Western Australia, they require you to quarantine, and be vaccinated. So it's going to be one of those longer, drawn-out processes, which I guess I can see the appeal if they're saying, hey, there's Brisbane that, play possibly a home final, and Geelong maybe a home final. Then next week, after the first round of finals, then we sort of do a quarantine and then relocate. But it's going to be hard, man, no matter what. So, and I don't envy unlucky Victorians again. You had a pretty good run for most of the year, and now footy, the biggest time of the year again. It is what it is.
Mate, I'm in cricket finals at the moment. I'm pissed.
Oh, you go, mate.
I said I'm pissed. I'm in cricket finals at the moment. I don't get to play. It's fucking ridiculous. It's hard. I know a lot of other things come into it, so everyone's got their own thoughts and opinions about it. But yeah, no, I know I can understand the frustration, especially if you're like a D supporter and you haven't seen success maybe in your lifetime, and this is your opportunity, and then you're not going to get to see it. So I really do feel for some of the D supporters out there.
Let's talk about that. I mean, who do you think winning the granny? Because my money's on Geelong, mate. I've got all of the money on Geelong at the moment. I just don't think that these just have that killer instinct in finals, but the next 3 weeks can obviously change that. The experience that Geelong have, I think, will probably see them through to the granny, and if they get there, I think they'll win.
I think Stewart out hurts, though. I
really hope Geelong go out in straight
test. 17 intercepting defenders, man. They don't need one.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think Henry is the one that I think could really step up. He's actually been real good this year.
He was good last week.
Yeah, I don't know, just Henry intercept marks, and he looks actually a real composed kid. I would not mind looking at him for draft leagues next year, just in general, if there's natural progression on scope. Okay, so let's quick little shout out now. If for our grand finale, if there is a segment that you would like us to do, so for instance, worst 5 decisions all year, or people that we're going to look at next year, who are people we're looking at starting as a, let's say a set and forget or a premium.
5.
Yeah, so who we're looking at. So we'll go by position and do a couple things. If there's something that you want us to do in our final, let us know so we can easily run through kind of like a little countdown, a top 10 or a 5. I should even see if we can go back and get our SC Elites footage. Maybe, you know what, fuck it, we've got Bluetooth, we can even call Corey, mate. We'll just start calling and prank calling Corey, Cheezo,
we had a bit of a chat in our group chat the other day of different players you would actually consider, but the problem is, especially like value in midfield doesn't seem to be existent next year, because we've got 10 midfielders averaging 115 plus this season. So if you're going to pick a value option, you've got to try and pick someone that's going to average more than those 10, 15 guys. Like it's pretty insane in midfield, and it's going to be a very hard year because I think a lot of cash is going to be spent on those big position players.
And then not
so
only
you're
that,
really going to need value forward and back.
Also expensive rookies again too. You look at Dacos, so as in if you're going to stack your midfield, you're
Oh,
also,
yeah.
it's harder than if you have a 210,000 or whatever it'll be, and there's meant to be a couple of really good guys, kind of how we've had to pay up for Rao. It's going to be a similar scenario. For me, I think Ruck is going to be the saviour. I think if Bruce can be fit, I know everyone likes set and forget, but if he's going to be low 200s with the flexibility of Marshall and English, that's where I'm already leaning. Early days, obviously.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
I still don't like English, but I like Jackson.
There'll be 3 high-priced rookies that I feel like we're going to need next year. One of the issues usually is a lot of them don't come in straight away, but I feel just because the teams they're going to, North Melbourne, Adelaide and Hawthorn, and just the more likely that they are going to be midfielders. And then you add on the top of that it's also going to be Dacos. So it could be even up to 4 cheap. Well, not cheap,
we'll
but
have Will Gould though next
premium
year, surely,
cheapie.
guys.
Yeah, but that's going to make things real interesting.
Good old Will Gould. Is he ever going to play?
Oh yeah,
who knows? He'll be in everyone's starting side for like the entire first 3 months of Supercoach.
Was it Tim Mitchell that put it up and said, "Who's your 5 locks for next year?" And I said, "Well, Will Gould was my number 1. He's got to play at some point, doesn't he?"
He does. Well, even like Mills and Lloyd out, and he still couldn't get a game. Go figure. But I guess Dawson's been a revelation back there too. So I mean, can't.
So I think like we would just like to say, if you are trading this week, be careful about who you're trading in and make it last minute. Because there's going to be late outs, there's going to be people pulled from games, and it can completely swing how that game's going to play. So just be aware of it, because obviously in Supercoach, if a team is dominant over another team, they have a massive larger slice of the pie, and it's much less likely that player on the losing side is going to score well. Not everyone is Toot Miller, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but not only that, and on the additional side, it's not just about being rested, it's also... the time on ground might go down 5-10%, depending on, so you say even like Dangerfield, who is a must-have, but if you're training them in, you wait just before they play, but any knock, they're just going to get sat out. Any other issues, they're not going to be playing because it's all about finals. So I do agree with that. Make your decision, make it last minute, and try and look for somewhere you can really hurt your opposition. Swizz?
Well, one way of doing it, because a lot of people, if you've got that trade and it's going to be likely to be Zeeble, waiting to even as late as, say, Essendon Collingwood, and maybe looking at your Nick Hine, your Jake Stringer, someone like that who could go massive, but it would actually give you a better idea of how you're tracking against your opposition. So you might need a safe player who might only need to get an 80 or a 90, and that could be an easy trade. But if you need somebody, let's say you're looking with one unique left and you need 140, well, bugger it, let's go save Stringer because he can score something like that.
Or even the great thing is Zeebel's worth 590k, so you're going to have options.
You can go anyone.
Darcy Parish is 544k. He had 44 disposals and was best on ground in the Anzac Day game. There's definitely going to be options. The problem with obviously choosing a midfielder for a forward is that may not line up with your side. But yeah, someone like a Stringer I can see going big. I've really enjoyed his second half of the year. I think he's a shoo-in for All-Australian. Just based on the fact that I know he hasn't played as many games. I think he's only played 17 games of the possible, 21?
He's kicked a lot of goals though as well.
Yeah,
he's kicked a lot of goals. He's but he's also had a lot of clearances and he's had his best career year. And there was obviously a lot of talk about him this week in the media. But I said this last week before that even popped up. You look at the forwards this year, the small forwards. There's really not much to pick from. I think it's basically Toby Green, and that's about it in terms of consistency throughout the year. And even Toby Green, he missed 3 or 4 games as well. So you're really struggling there. But I think he's the highest averaging goals per game for a small forward is Toby Green.
Yeah. And Zach Bailey, I think, is probably up there as well as far as impact, but he kind of tailored off a little bit.
He was great at the start of the season. Has tailed off,
Yeah.
In my running All Australian team, I've had Fritsch in there, and that. So all I did was add Stringer in because Fritsch did nothing wrong to kick himself out. But as you said, it's probably a year where it's probably the 2 key forwards, maybe 2 hybrid forwards. and then maybe a Toby Green, and I wouldn't. And it's probably the 1 year I could live with them putting Petrarca or Bont or someone like that on the half forward line, just because they've
Petrarca has played a considerable amount forward, so I can understand him on a half forward line.
What's Bont, like 15th highest goal kicker for the year or something like that now? It's the midfielders have been kicking a lot more of the goals this season.
Yeah, Zorko's hit a few.
Well, we did have a chat. We sort of did our own little All Australian in the chat that we share as well. And I suppose at the end of the day, what we all realised is that the midfielders have been outstanding this year, as opposed to normal years where you're like, okay, there's been wingers that have been really good. We should really include them in the wings. There has been 10 outstanding midfielders, and I don't know how you leave a couple of them out, but you're going to have to choose between, say, a Tuke Miller and a Darcy Parish. Like, who gets in that spot, you know? Like, they've both been absolutely outstanding, but Parish is on a winning side, Tuke's on a losing side. Does Tuke just not make it because he plays for Gold Coast?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be strange.
Do you reckon Walsh gets in this year based on the hype?
Oh, I think he has to.
I think he has to.
I think he's been absolutely outstanding all season. If anyone's watched his game, you just go, holy shit. He's holding Carlton up by by a string.
If only someone predicted it at the start of the season. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, if only someone like that. I don't know.
Is it laundry day, Chris?
It is actually.
Just letting them all.
Literally, like,
we can't see anything.
Oh, okay, cool. I've got my entire laundry. I did 3 loads of washing this afternoon, so yeah.
All good.
So you did yours and the 3 kids. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, so let's go on to, we have spoken briefly, captains and VCs this week, boys. Real big topic, particularly for this week. Now, looks like Titch is playing early. I think they're second off the rank, so you think a VC on Titch might be a good idea?
Absolutely.
Or McRae?
Yeah, I think you got to go McRae if you're in a winning position. So if you're tipped to be a higher average, a higher predicted score, or you're highly ranked, I think you can't not go McRae. I think you kind of have to. You're locked into the obvious decision. If you're trying to chase, that's when you sort of can take a little bit of a risk. And look at, say, something like a Titch VC, which is what I'm doing, because I'm trying to chase down someone who's going to have McRae, and I think McRae's still going to go 130 regardless.
You think he'll be good enough that you have to take? Yeah.
But I'm looking for someone who's going to go 150 plus this week, because I need that for my score to actually be better. I'm chasing a pack, so I'm risking it for the biscuit, but I can understand most people who are highly ranked or are in a winning position in their grand final should probably go McRae VC.
Interesting. Yeah, I think McRae and Titch are good. For me, just having a look now as well, I don't know, like, I'd probably avoid Geelong, Melbourne. Clary seems to play really well against top 4 sides, but again, there might not be much on offer. So I actually don't mind the Titch factor even into a steal, because, you know, against Fremantle, sure, he might get a little bit of a run with Sarong, but I think he's just a better caliber when you look at the in and under kind of types. I think it's played down Tassie now. Tassie, is it? Tassie? So there could be a lot of
my only worry with Steele, as I brought up with you before when I was chatting to you, was he's only ever scored 100 against Fremantle. And I don't know what that historical thing just worries me just that little bit. But saying that, I've got Steele as the captain at the moment. Another thought would be if say you have a VC of McRae or Mitchell, and you've got somebody from Collingwood or Essendon or even a North Adelaide player that you can use as your loophole, if you're going into that Essendon, Collingwood or Adelaide North game and you're behind with no one else to play, then why not just swing your captain on a Laird or someone like that? Because that might be the difference, that extra 30 or 40 points to help you get that win. Yeah,
Laird hasn't gone notoriously well against them either. Grundy's he's the one that has a proven record against Essendon. Just depends on whether he'll show up. I think last time he was doing horrible, remember, until I think the last quarter where he went absolutely massive and scored like 70 points or something or other, because he was doing so bad. I can't remember actually when it was. Essendon, he got 153, and I swear he was on like fuck all for a lot of that game. So that's another good one, though. I think he's had, including this year. So this year he went against Essendon. He got a 153. And then when you look at his last 3 as well, so 2020 and 2 games in 2019, he's gone 151, 134, 157. So 3 of his last 4 are 150 plus. So I think Grundy is also a pretty safe option against Essendon.
Now, guys, I floated this earlier in the chat, and I want to just crown myself with this achievement. I also alerted people to this in our Geelong podcast at the start of the year. But the one person that I'm putting a captain on, and this may change depending on the Friday night's game and where Geelong and Melbourne sit, is a good old Paddy Dangerfield, who, by the way, has a 5-year average in the last game of the season of 166.2. So that's massive, obviously, but it seems like Danger turns the button the last round of the season and wants to go into the finals with form. And so I'm looking at that going, I don't know if I can turn away from those sort of scores. And just to reiterate, in terms of how big they have been, so obviously last week he went pretty big as well with a 169. But bringing up last season, hold on one sec. So last season was 170 in round 18, because obviously they had the shortened season. The year before was 156. The year before was 187. The year before was 163, and the year before that was 155, which was his lowest score for the last 5 years. So Danger's got an absolute record of just killing the last round of the season. And so if you're really, really looking for that unique, Titch doesn't fire for whatever reason, McRae doesn't go well for you, and you're looking for someone to go huge, lock in Danger. Go.
Well, I would rather somebody playing at the same time as him than Danger, and which was Mr. Kelly, who just put out 148 last week against the Tigers, has got a 205 against Carlton, and it would not surprise me if he got somewhere near that this week. That's
also true as well. I just prefer, proven history over Josh Kelly, who loves to frustrate me every single fucking week.
Frustrate you?
But he has a proven
frustrate you!
Carlton. There'd be plenty of Carlton supporters be going, he's got a proven history against us.
Oh, this makes Brucey very excited. It really does.
Fuck. Hey, boys. Going into our last special, I can't remember who commented on Twitter, I think it was, saying that we should do our final episode 6 beers deep. So what I'm saying is that it could be quite interesting if we start our final episode, and it could go for like an hour or so, because there'll be a lot to discuss and a lot of hot topics that people want us to discuss. I'm putting one more shout out there for a sponsor who wants to give.
Oh yeah, someone said that they would sponsor us to do it with Corey, as long as he's fucking half a cut in as well.
Yeah, if Corey's,
he'd get involved too.
Corey's here, I'm sure. I've got his number somewhere. We can hit him up. We'll tweet him as well. But we're looking for a sponsor, because if you want us well liquored 6 beers deep before we start, hit us up.
I've got to organise a babysitter for the kids though, so I don't know if we... Yes, another kid joke. You're welcome for that one.
Yes. Chris will have to fill everyone in on his personal life at some stage. All illegitimate. Look, that wraps us up, I think, guys. Pretty simple. I think the finale will be where we really summarise the whole year, how we went, the highs, the lows, the good, the in-betweens, and also taking requests from the public on our top fives or any sort of list you would like us to generate. We can sort that out for you.
I agree.
Sounds good.
All right. Easy. Well, look, until next time, we are Supercoach Insider. I cannot wait for the off season. I've got like 6 weeks off over Christmas. I'm going to be getting that spreadsheet up and amongst it. So for those of you that love the spreadsheet, do stay tuned and give me well wishes, because it is painful and time consuming. But we love it.
Mate, all we do is move on to EPL Fantasy.
Yes. Actually,
How did you go week one?
No, not today, not today. But if you are interested in, I need to select my side. I have no idea. EPL Fantasy, or even Swizz, myself, and Grimmy, we are big on the Big Bash. So if you're a Big Bash Supercoach or whatever,
nah, fuck that shit.
And you if you would like Swizz and myself to maybe chat, if you want Swizz and myself to chat once a week, maybe, then let us know. We could be in the market for all things Supercoach, except for racing. I have no idea.
Oh no, I do that as well. I tweeted that this week, and that if you can make a super coach out of everyday activities, and that I'd do that as well.
So I'm
still not sure why they don't have Supercoach NBA. Like, NBA is one of the most popular fantasy and NFL, to be honest, but one of the most popular fantasy sports out there. Like, everybody that I know plays fantasy NBA. So, like, Weird.
Hey, Swizz, fantasy for everyday life. How many points would be a left-handed wank with your non-dominant head? That should be worth a few points, wouldn't it?
He puts the C on that every week.
I call it the clumsy stranger. Anyway, that's a little bit of an off-topic. Anyway, look, that's us. And, geez, Chris Stinking Cans. We'll talk to you next time. See you guys.
Yes, we'll do.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
For everyday life, how many points would be a left-handed wank with your non-dominant head? That should be worth a few points, wouldn't it?
He puts the C on that every week.
I call it the clumsy stranger. Anyway, that's a little bit of an off-topic. Anyway, look, that's us. And, geez, Chris Stinking Cans. We'll talk to you next time. See you guys.
Yes, we'll do.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.